There comes a time in every soul's journey when words lose their meaning. The body prays, but the spirit remains still. The eyes see, but the heart is blind. The ears hear, but the soul does not listen. And then one wonders, what happened to me? Where did I lose the light? In Surah Al-Baqarah, verses 6 and 7, Allah unveils a terrifying reality, a spiritual condition more dangerous than any physical disease, a moment where the heart is no longer just asleep, but sealed. The verses state, "Indeed, those who disbelieve, it is the same to them whether you warn them or do not warn them. They will not believe. Allah has set a seal upon their hearts and upon their hearing, and over their eyes is a veil, and for them is a great punishment." These verses are not just about ancient pagans or enemies of prophets past. They are a mirror, a warning, a veil. But what is sealed? And how does the Sufi path view the sealing? Come with me into the heart of these verses, into the secret chambers of inner blindness, spiritual deafness, and the locked doors of the heart, the inner kufur, beyond denial of God's existence. In traditional tafsir, the term kafaru is translated as those who disbelieve. But in Sufi thought, kufr is not always the absence of belief in God. It is something far more dangerous. It is denial of truth, even after it has reached the heart. Kufr is when the soul refuses to bow, not in ignorance, but in arrogance, not because it does not know, but because it does not want to know. Just as Iblis refused to prostrate, not out of disbelief in God's existence, but out of pride, so too the heart can witness truth and still reject it. From the Sufi lens, such a person may recite prayers, may wear the cloak of piety, may even weep in gatherings. But if the inner self, the nafs, resists surrender, then a sealing begins. Khatama lillahu ala qulubihim, the seal upon the heart. The word khatama means to seal, to close with finality. In the Sufi path, this is not a punishment in the worldly sense, but a spiritual law. When the heart persistently turns away from the light, it becomes sealed from within. As Rumi says, "You were given eyes to see the light, but you closed them and now complain of darkness." When a person repeatedly rejects divine guidance, whether through arrogance, ego, or heedlessness, the heart hardens. Imagine the heart as a crystal. When it receives the light of truth, it refracts it beautifully. But when it is covered in layers of ego, sins, lies, and denial, it becomes a blackened mirror, no longer capable of reflection. Ibn Arabi, the great Sufi master, taught that the sealing is not a wrathful act, but a manifestation of divine justice. The heart asks for veils, and so veils are given. The real only veils himself from you, because you yourself have asked not to see him. Ibn Arabi, Wa'ala samrihim, the hearing without hearing. Why does Allah mention their hearing next? Because in Sufism, true hearing is not with the ears, it is with the heart. There is an ear of the soul, an inner audition that hears divine whispers. But when the soul no longer listens, the physical hearing becomes useless. Sermons are heard but not absorbed. Verses are recited, but they do not descend past the eardrums. The words reach the ears, but the ears are veiled by desire. Imam al-Ghazali. How many times have we heard the Quran being recited, but felt nothing? That numbness is not due to the verse, it is due to layers of dust on the soul. In the language of the saints, this is called sama al-nafs, hearing that is filtered through the ego, not through the purified self. Wa'ala absorihim gishawan. Over their vision is a veil. This is perhaps the most terrifying part. A person can walk, see the stars, read scriptures, yet remain blind. In Sufi metaphysics, the eye of the body is not the same as the eye of the heart, basira. When basira is clouded, even the clearest signs become invisible. They see the sun, but still ask where the light is. Rumi. Every tree becomes a proof of God, every breath a reminder. But when the inner sight is veiled, nothing moves the soul. The gashawa, veil here, is not a cloth, nor a physical barrier. It is the thickness of the ego, the drunkenness of the self, the addiction to the material. Who are these verses truly about? You might be tempted to say, this verse is about the kufur, the disbelievers. But pause. Do you not know that Shaitan was not a disbeliever in God's existence? He spoke to God. He worshipped. He obeyed for 1,000 years. Yet his heart was sealed by pride. So too, many hearts today claim belief, but are sealed from transformation. This verse, dear seeker, is a warning, not just for atheists or enemies of Islam. It is for the heedless, the arrogant, the spiritual narcissist, the one who uses knowledge as a throne instead of a bridge to Allah. Can the seal be broken? Is there hope? Yes, and this is the secret known to the lovers of God. For even a sealed heart can be cracked open by divine mercy. The seal is only final when the self clings to darkness willingly. But the moment a soul turns, sincerely repents, begs for light, even the hardest seal melts like wax in divine fire. As the Quran says, but whoever repents and believes and does righteous deeds, it is they whose bad deeds Allah will change into good ones. 25-70. The Sufi way is not to curse the veiled, but to weep for them, to pray for them, to become a mirror that reflects divine mercy, so that even the most sealed hearts feel warmth again. The inner lesson: beware the silent death. There is a kind of death that comes before death. It is the death of the heart. When you no longer feel shame before sin, no longer weep during prayer, no longer tremble at the remembrance of God. It is this death that these verses warn about. The sealing of the heart is not a sudden event. It is a slow freezing. Every act of heedlessness adds a layer of ice, until the soul no longer shivers from its distance. So ask yourself, have I heard verses of Quran, but felt nothing? Have I seen the signs of God, but walked past them? Has my heart become too busy to break? If yes, then we must seek revival. And that revival does not come from more information, but from intimacy with the divine. Rumi speaks of the sealed heart as a clay jar that must be shattered to be filled. Break your pitcher and be filled with the sea. Lose yourself so you may taste eternity. The Sufi path is not about blame, but about return, about tauba, the sacred U-turn of the soul. We are not here to label the sealed, but to unseal ourselves. A prayer, a tear, a return. Beloved soul, if your heart has become hard, if your ears no longer weep at the Quran, if your eyes see but your soul remains thirsty, do not despair. The same one who sealed the heart can unseal it. The same Lord who veiled you can unveil himself to you in a moment of sincere yearning. So tonight, sit in silence. Place your hand on your heart and whisper, O turner of hearts, turn my heart toward you. Ya Allah, remove the seal. Make me hear again. Make me see again. Make me alive again. Let this be your prayer, your zikr, your weeping, because once the seal is lifted, even the whisper of a verse can cause the soul to tremble, to fall in love again, to return. If this moved you, share this message. Someone's heart might be sealed, but your sharing might be the key to their unlocking. Subscribe for more spiritual journeys into the Quran. Comment below, what part of this touched your soul the most? Let's not just study the verses, let's live them. Let's not just recite the words, let's become them.